Hailing frequencies open. Welcome back to Trek Retrek here on Geek the F Out. I'm Captain Johnny.
I'm Ensign Kayla.
And we're here to talk about Star Trek.
Very good. Good job, Johnny.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you.
We talked
this
about
episode is called The Deadly Years.
Yes. Season 2, episode 12, episode 41 overall. TVGuide.com changed on me. Where the fuck did it go? The crew of the Enterprise contracts a strange disease that causes rapidly accelerated aging, leaving the inexperienced, it says Captain Stalker, that's wrong, Commodore Stalker in charge. Then he blunders into a Romulan attack. They picked the weirdest parts of this episode to focus on.
Yeah, I was going to say. They really did.
Yeah.
Shall we get into it?
The IMDb.com one is better because I read it at the end of last week, but it said a landing party from the Enterprise is exposed to a strange form of radiation which rapidly ages them. Although the radiation part is kind of not really known throughout most of the episodes. So
oh yeah, that's true. Spoilers.
Indeed. Anyway.
Well, it's been almost 60 years.
Yeah, I think
we've got enough time. Speak for myself, I guess. So yeah, we have Kirk, Bones, Spock, Chekhov, and others beamed down to Gamma Hydra 4 planet to see what's been going
Gamma
on.
Hydra 2.
Good one. One of the people is a girl with short hair, which that was cool to see. And because I feel like all of them on this show have like their hair's up, but clearly it's like long hair and like buttons and stuff. So that's cool. But spoiler alert, she doesn't last long.
No, this is
Galway.
Yeah, Arlene Galway. And I'm like, I swore she looked familiar. The actress is Beverly Washburn, and I don't recognize her in anything. So she must just have one of those faces. That I thought I'd seen her in something before, but yeah, very much a pixie cut in the 60s.
Very cool. And Chekhov finds a dead man in one of the buildings on an altar. Spock says it makes no sense. He died of old age, and was about to explain why when two old people walked in, and they say that they're 29 and 27.
Yeah, 29, my ass.
Yeah, sure, Jan.
Yeah,
and they beam back up to the ship.
And this is the most appropriate episode for Sure Jans.
It really is. They beam back up to the ship. They go to sickbay. The man says Elaine was so beautiful, and I was like, so she isn't now still? Okay, asshole. We went
from an episode with Elaine to Elaine. They're really getting the most out of their names, I suppose.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah. Anyways, Kirk calls a panel with Bones, Spock, and new Dr. Wallace, as well as Commodore Stalk. Is it Stalker? I thought there was another T in there at the end. It's just Stalker.
Yes, I think it's just
OCKER.
Yes, just Stalker.
Okay.
STOCKER.
Yeah. And Dr. Wallace is an endocrinology expert. They discuss what's been going on there, and Kirk tells them to just explore all areas to try to figure out what's going on. And Dr. Wallace stays behind after the meeting. Apparently she is an old friend, and I was like, oh, of course she is.
Yeah.
Here's another love interest for Kirk.
Also, so her name is Janet, and I already made the illusion that, if any episode is suitable for Sure Jans, it's this one. And then I'm just like, oh shit, Janice Rand is a Jan. Did we talk about that at all in any of the episodes that she was on? I don't know if we
Sure Jan.
Yeah, with her, did we put that together?
I don't know if we did.
I don't know.
Dang it.
We did like 20 episodes later.
Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Well.
Anyway.
Anyways. Let's see.
Forget it. I'm turning around. We're starting over from the beginning.
Take two. Yeah, so apparently she's an old friend, and just before they're about to kiss, Uhura messages Kirk to go to the bridge. Commodore said it might be helpful to go to Starbase 10, which is where he wants to go anyways, and Kirk says no, and gives Sulu the same order twice. So something's up now. Lieutenant Galway goes into sickbay and tells Bones that she's having trouble hearing all of a sudden, and Bones just tells her not to worry.
Yeah, what the fuck? Like,
I know.
Just don't worry about it. Someone comes in.
Yeah.
I don't feel well. I'm in my mid-20s. And I think later Kirk says she's 10 years younger than him. Kirk's 34, so she's 24. She's not even. She's barely mid-20s, and it's like I'm having trouble hearing. You're fine. Walk it off. What the fuck, Bones?
I know.
Really, what we should be saying is, what the fuck, whoever wrote this episode, but what the fuck, Bones?
What the fuck, Bones? And then we have shirtless Kirk in his room FaceTime Spock and asks him to check out the comet again. And then it looks like his back started hurting, but then when he goes to see Bones, he's talking about his shoulder. And so when he goes to sickbay, the old man and woman from the planet have died now. And Bones is all of a sudden very gray and very senile towards Kirk, or he's starting to get gray. And Bones checks him out and says that apparently he has advanced arthritis and it's spreading. He's like, that doesn't make any sense. So shit's happening now. Scotty comes to sickbay and looks super old, like way older than them. And I was like, this aging makeup actually isn't half bad. It's interesting the different techniques they used on all of them and throughout the episode. And I think it helped that they all aged at different rates.
It's always interesting when you have an episode like this and you age an actor up with makeup, and then when you get to the point in real life where they're that age and they don't look anything like that, they always overdo it with aging makeup and make them look like they're 120 years old. Like, look at Shatner. Yeah. He's 82. Although around the time
92.
92? Wow.
Yes. We've discussed this many a times, Johnny.
Yeah, I don't know why I keep thinking 82. I think it's because my mom's 84. Like, she's in her 80s, and for some reason I just think But
I think Shatner's your daddy.
No.
Not that kind of daddy.
But even Shatner himself, like, when we get to Star Trek the Motion Picture, like he looks like his own grandpa. It's just weird because, like, he gets chubby in the face and he has, like, the curly hair. He looks nothing like this Captain Kirk. It's just
yeah, it is funny how that happens, but also it's like I don't know how much you can predict it. Yeah, so all of a sudden so I was like, Scotty's aging makeup wasn't too bad. They definitely went the just using just regular makeup on his face to do it at first for Scotty. And, they just kind of sprayed his hair, which they did that a couple of times to different people. And then they would also use wigs. It was not very consistent. Yeah, it was funny. Kirk's and I was like, Kirk's hair is so bad looking when it's like gray on the sides and blonde on the top, because I'm like, that's not how that works either. And then we
Yeah.
see the foot pedaling machine again,
Yeah.
because apparently Chekhov is normal. He's the only one who's not aging right now. And Bones also looks super bad, but his hair is almost blonde. Like they gave him this white gray wig that looks more blonde. And Spock says they have less than a week to live, but their brains will go out before then. So that's all terrifying. But Spock looks fine, but apparently he's still having some trouble concentrating and his eyesight is not as good. And yeah, this is when we see Lieutenant Galway is super old, and Bones tells her to go to her quarters, but she's scared to find out like what changes when she wakes up. And that's when Kirk's like, go back to your station. I'm like, she's not gonna work in this state. Come on. Okay. And Dr. Wallace says she'll look into carbohydrate compounds her and her ex-husband were looking into to slow down plant life to see if that'll help.
Magic dog. Continue.
Surprise dog. So then Dr. Wallace waits outside of sickbay for Kirk and says she's still not over him. She says her husband was 26 years older, because Kirk was like, oh, how much older was your husband? And he asks if she's offering love or a going away present, which is very interesting because, first of all, he's essentially asking her if she has like an old man kink or fetish. Yeah. And then also, I don't know. It was just kind of weird little scene, and I don't know. Anyways, on the bridge, Chekhov is starting to feel like a guinea pig constantly being experimented on. And a yeoman has Kirk sign something, and he drops the pen, and everyone notices it, which is very awkward. And it's in front of the Commodore, who Kirk asks why he's there. And apparently the Commodore wants to talk to Kirk about making it to Starbase 10, which Kirk says they're going to be late. He just kind of dismisses him. But clearly, Kirk is not able to do things properly, and it just gets worse and worse. He falls asleep in the captain's chair right after this, and Spock comes in. Spock comes in thinking they've figured out what happened with the comet's radiation on the planet, and Kirk is starting to get a little senile with Sulu and Spock. And Kirk and Spock tell Bones that it's the comet's radiation. Spock asks Bones if there's anything that can help his sensitivity to the cold, because he has this room at 125 degrees, which Bones makes a comment like, oh, I guess I'm not doing house calls for you. And he tells him, I'm not a magician, just an old country doctor.
Old country doctor.
Which he, like, now in his old age, he has this accent now. And Dr. Wallace tells Bones that nothing they have for radiation therapy is going to help them. And Commodore tells Spock that he would have to take over command of the Enterprise since Kirk can't perform his duties. But Spock says he can't either. So that's when Commodore tells Spock that he has to have the competency hearing. It's mandatory. And then all of a sudden, Galway comes into sickbay and dies. Then we have the competency hearing, which Kirk says he's totally fine to work, but Spock says everyone has to weigh in. So Sulu gets questioned, says he's repeated her twice. Yeoman Atkins says how he forgot that he already signed the report. And then Uhura talks about how he forgot that they use code 3 instead of 2 because of the Klingons now. Or the Romulans.
Yeah.
Yeah, Klingons was last episode.
Yeah.
And based on Bones' medical report, the computer says Kirk is actually 60 to 42 and aging 72 and aging rapidly. And Bones says he's aging rapidly more mentally than physically, so that's even worse. And that's when Spock is like, Kirk, you are not able to take command. And Kirk tries to argue and says he's very disappointed in Spock, but he leaves and they vote, which clearly know which way they're going to vote. And Commodore takes command, tells Sulu to go to the neutral zone, which I was like, bro, like, even if you've never been a captain, why are you doing this? Like, is this it can't be the only way to get to the starbase.
Yeah, I was with Stalker up until this point. Like,
Yeah.
Before he called for the competency hearing, I wrote down Commodore should relieve Kirk. Like, all these people that
because he's a Commodore, doesn't he?
He outranks.
Outrank.
Yeah, Commodores are higher ranked than captains.
So how has he never been a captain?
I mean, you can be a captain without commanding a starship. You can be there's we haven't seen it yet, but there's plenty of captain rank officers who weren't in command of a starship. They were administrative captains, essentially. Like his as a Commodore, he's going to run a starbase. He is essentially a manager.
Interesting.
He's administrative, but he's still a flag officer, and he's still he's still a higher rank. I was with him up until this point when he's like straight through the neutral zone. I'm like, God damn it, dude.
Yeah, I was like, the fuck? We really do? I know. It's crazy, huh? It's crazy.
Because right before they called for the hearing, I wrote down, Commodore should relieve Kirk. Like, all these people that can't do their jobs. But,
yeah.
And then, yeah. And also, during the hearing... I just
realized... Sorry. Go ahead. You go first.
During the hearing, like, they specifically said Kirk can, like, ask questions of anybody who testifies against him. But they question the yeoman who had him sign the thing, and then they dismiss her. But she's the only one that they're like, you're dismissed, and they make her leave. Like, why? What's the... Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, good point. Dr. Wallace and Spock go to tell Kirk he's been relieved and is pissed Commodore has taken over, and he's also pissed at Spock too. Spock leaves, and Jan stays behind to talk to Kirk, and he asked her if he's getting old. Kirk goes to sickbay. He's looking super bad like Bones now. They say how Chekhov got scared when he went into the building and saw the dead body, and maybe it was adrenaline that was the difference between Chekhov not aging and all the rest of them. That's when Bones mentions how they used to use adrenaline with treating radiation, or they started to kind of test it with treating radiation. So then they get to work. Spock, Wallace, and Chapel get to work working on the cure. On the bridge, they've encountered Romulans. A stupid autocorrect on my computer put Romans. Encountered Romans.
I mean, they're space Romans.
Yeah, essentially. From all sides, and Commodore is frozen, doesn't know what to do. He tells Uhura to communicate with them, and she says they don't listen, which Sulu backs that up. And then all of a sudden, Kirk looks less old again, but has extra white hair, and like a full set of extra white hair. It's not like thinning at all. So, like I mentioned before, the aging, even though they all age at different rates, it doesn't seem very consistent with them. And Kirk volunteers to take the first shot that Spock, Chapel, and Wallace have made. But we don't really see the results. Like, we hear that it's working, and we see Kirk writhing, but we don't see the results yet. So on the bridge, they're still being attacked, and Sulu says the Romulans know their shields are going to give out, so Commodore says they have to surrender, which Chekhov tells them, well, they don't really take captives. And just in the nick of time, Kirk is better, and he comes on to the bridge. and tells engineering to get the warp drive ready, then tells Uhura to put a message out to command under code 2 so that the Romulans will hear them, saying that the Enterprise will explode, taking out everything with it. And so that makes the Romulans back off because they're listening in, and the Enterprise takes off away from them, and the Romulans can't keep up, and they set a course for Starbase 10, which I was like, once again, why did you have to go through the neutral zone to get to Starbase 10? You idiot. And Bones comes back on the bridge, and he's back to normal, and tells Spock he's made a stronger shot for him and removed all the breakables from sickbay. And then Jan also comes on the bridge, random, and then there's this moment at the end where her and Kirk are just standing there looking at each other and they don't kiss. I was like, wow, this is surprising. They never kissed in this episode. I'm shocked.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the episode. It was a fun ride, and honestly kind of a cool concept with adrenaline and radiation and how they thought of that. Very different from what we've seen so far. The only thing it was kind of similar to was, you know, metamorphosis with de-aging.
Yeah.
But still, like, I was like, was this actually something that they studied with radiation? Or did they just kind of make this up? And like, I'm very curious how they went about coming up with this idea for this episode. Like, if it was based on actual research.
I'm just doing a quick search here. I don't see anything particular about adrenaline for radiation, so I don't know if that is real science.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it would be, but it's interesting that they came up with that with Chekhov, and they had someone that wasn't affected by radiation, and that's how they figured out what could help. Like, it felt like a more thought through episode in terms of plot, and I think it just makes it stand out more than a lot of the other episodes. But yeah, very, very interesting idea and concept. Do you have any other general thoughts?
I thought it was interesting. There was she says in like the 6 years, all Kirk did was send her a stargram, which I thought was an interesting term that I hadn't heard before.
A star? I don't think I heard that.
Yeah, and instead of like a telegram, it's a stargram. Like, he sent her a fancy letter.
I missed that. That's funny. Oh, yeah.
I liked that.
That was a cute term.
The callback to the Corbomite device from the Corbomite maneuver. That bluff.
Cool. Yeah, I felt like this episode was fairly well written.
Those are more favorite lines and moments and general thoughts, though. So, do you have any particular favorite parts of the episode?
Yeah. I thought I had a couple other lines, or maybe I did mention all of them now that I'm looking. I guess maybe not. I definitely had moment. I mean, it was cool to see all the aging makeup that they did and the prosthetics, and like I was really, really shocked by the great job that they did. Like there was some times where you could kind of see like the edge of the piece, which I've seen like shows and stuff of people putting on these prosthetics, and I don't know how they get it to blend so well. But like, I don't know, like, and obviously, like I said before, they changed quite a bit, but it was still pretty good job for almost 60 years ago, you know? Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know, just kind of fun to see them old, and like you said, how they definitely look, you know, their actual old selves now don't look the same. Like, I don't think any of them do. Like, definitely. Yeah, it was hard. It would have been interesting to see Spock more aged up because I think they were a little bit closer with him,
Yeah, I don't think they did much
but
aside from like they gave him a little
they
bit
kind
of
of did the
gray and a couple
eyes.
of lines around his eyes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, yeah, it was interesting. At one point, Kirk like just had wrinkles around his eyes, and I was like, that's not how it works. Like they forgot the wrinkles everywhere else. um, always appreciate when we see the foot pedaling machine. That's
Yeah.
great. So funny. So funny. Don't know why that's a thing. I guess it's like the whatchamacallit, the future version of putting someone on a treadmill, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
That's how I like interpret it. I do like Dr. Wallace's inclusion in this episode, and she's an expert in endocrinology. And like she's not like she says that she's not over Kirk and all of that, but it doesn't derail her from her job, which is nice to see. You can have both at the same time. What a crazy concept. So yeah, that was cool. I thought she was a cool character. And yeah, I'm trying to think of any other like specific moments that happened.
Some lines I had were when McCoy says, I don't know what's causing it, a virus, a bacteria, or evil spirits, but I'm trying to find out. The
That was
evil
good.
spirits part was funny.
That was good.
When Galway's leaving and she's just like, what a stupid place to hang a mirror. Because she catches sight of her old self. And then when they're doing the physical on Chekhov, and McCoy's like, now this isn't going to hurt a bit. And Chekhov says, that's what you said last time. And McCoy goes, did it hurt? And Chekhov's like, yes!
Yeah. That was funny. So good.
And then McCoy's...
So good.
His line was like flip-flopped. He says, I'm not a magician, Spock, just an old country doctor. Old country doctor.
Old country doctor.
Very
good.
All right, well, if that is it for lines and moments, then that will bring us to That's What They Said. You went first last time, so I will go first this time. This is your That's What They Said for the Deadly Years. Can you fill them in?
Sir, I do have duties to perform.
Try anything, but do it quickly.
I think we just made contact, sir. Yay! Short but sweet.
Indeed.
Really weren't that many in this episode.
No,
very
episode,
serious.
There's not.
Yeah, last episode too.
There's not a ton with last episode and this episode with trivia either, but that will bring us to episode trivia from Memory Alpha. Kirk's age, 34 years old, is established in this episode. That's cool. How
old was he in real life at this point? Do you know?
I don't know. That's a good question. Kirk makes reference to the fictional Corbomite device, which he first described in the Corbomite maneuver. There's continuity nitpickers about Chekhov and when and how long he's been on the Enterprise. Because it says, although Chekhov was not on the bridge on that occasion, he and Sulu exchanged knowing looks when Kirk mentions the word. It's speculated in the Star Trek Compendium that Chekhov's familiarity with the bluff further reinforced his presence aboard the Enterprise during Season 1. However, this would be refuted during the next episode when Chekhov, when they say next episode, they're talking production, which was I Mud, which we've already covered because we're going in release order. Chekhov was oblivious, apparently, of Mudd's visit to the Enterprise, which was the episode after the Corbomite maneuver. I mean, it's possible that Chekhov was on shore leave, like doing something else on assignment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought this was interesting. So when Jan Wallace says it's been 6 years, 4 months, and an odd number of days since they spoke, a real Shaw said the same thing in Court Martial when she and Kirk were talking. But she said it's been 4 years, 7 months, and an odd number of days. But it was the same, like that, and an odd number of days. It was stated the same way. I was wondering
why that sounded familiar.
Yeah.
Huh.
No, sir. I don't like it. That doesn't matter. I don't care. I just wanted to quote the horse from Ren and Stimpy. That's it. Yeah, there's not a lot of, like, even if I go through the list, the brown planet was recycled in later episodes. There was a close-up shot of Chekhov's eyes that took 15 minutes to get that they didn't use in the episode. Shatner relates he endured an excruciating makeup session for this episode, all for nothing because the shooting day was just about to end.
Oh, poor baby.
Yeah. One memorable outtake features Beverly Washburn getting stuck on a line before blurting out, "I feel like hell." No special effects shots were filmed for this episode. It was all recycled footage. Like, this is basically a run.
Oh, even I'm guessing the Enterprise shots, those were in the new version anyways.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. There's no comparison for this episode on Memory Alpha. There's no section of comparison of like the effects shot differences. So like they might have composited shots to get all those Romulan warbirds. They might have used composite shots from previous episodes. Yeah, this is just kind of a run of the mill. We're making an episode of television.
Nice. So, well, they did a good job with it.
So that will bring us to spoilers without context. Since I went first for That's What They Said, we will bring Ensign Kayla's spoilers without context up on the screen.
Yeah, so I had to use
I'm sensing a theme.
Yeah. Which there's a theme with yours too. Funny enough. I had to use the line from Freaky Friday where she's, they just switched bodies and Jamie Lee Curtis is like, "I'm old," and freaks out. And then I was trying to look up, it wasn't this movie, but there's something else where like people become old all of a sudden that I couldn't think of. But then I saw the movie Old came up, which I wanted to see this, but I never did. It's by M. Night Shyamalan, where people like get to this beach and they suddenly turn old or something like that. That's all I really remember from the trailer. So put that in there. And then I had to do the "How do you do, fellow kids?" Buscemi. And then Chernobyl because of the radiation. Which that show was intense. Like camping. And really sad and fucked up on someone. And so frustrating. Oh my God. I remember when I first watched that first episode, I was just so anxious that whole time. Anyways, tangent time. Did you watch it?
Tangent time? No, I haven't watched it.
Oh, it's good. It's real good.
Okay.
Fucked up, but good.
All right.
Yep. Those are mine.
Well done.
And now I need to hear the explanation of yours.
Well, there's Old Man Steve Rogers because, of course,
my husband.
The That's a Penis meme because of there's There's this big contraption on fucking McCoy's desk that's got like foil and a red cat. It looked like
Okay,
penis.
it was the foil.
It was that, yeah. It looked like penis. I'm like, that's very phallic. The shake weight is not penis related. When they're talking, there's a scene where McCoy and I think it's McCoy and Kirk. I don't remember who's in the scene now. Oh, it's after. It's when Galway's dead. If you look past them, there's a window in the hallway, and there's two people in that window, and there's a dude in the window like shaking something. I assume he's mixing stuff, but it looked like shake weight. It's like, what is going on?
I'm gonna have to go look that up right now.
Also, and then
I accidentally opened. Okay.
The Degeneration X crotch chop is because when they gave Kirk the shot and he's writhing around on the bio bed, like the camera is right on his junk. Like it's just there and it lingers for a while.
It does. I think because they didn't want to show his face because you can't do those special effects. Yeah.
That was something that was mentioned in episode trivia that I didn't talk about was they wanted to have him progressively de-aging as he came up to the bridge and took over command from Stalker. The script called for the aged Kirk to run from sickbay to the bridge and gradually grow younger until he arrived. But because the slow speech patterns and actions of the aging personnel were making the episode run long, so the reverse aging scenes were cut.
If anyone's curious.
Oh, so the red was at the bottom, yeah. But yeah, it's very phallic. It's just there. Before we rank the episode, Ensign Kayla, why don't you tell the crew where they can find us?
Yes, you can find us on social media at GTFO channel. Mostly post on Instagram and do updates and stories and memes and stuff on there. And kind of Twitter, but not really anymore. It's dying. And you can email us. Our email is channelgtfo@gmail.com. It is the reverse of our social media handle. And make sure to smack that like, smack that subscribe, smack that bell icon while you're here before we rank the episode.
Okay.
Ensign Kayla, what do you rank this episode?
For sure that's my line, but go ahead.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this episode. Like I said, I felt like it was very well written. Different concept, trope, plot than what we've seen before, plot device. They had to figure out how to solve a problem, and it was very layered in the fact that they didn't know why Chekhov wasn't affected, but then Chekhov ended up being the answer to why that was happening to help them. And then they had the question of Kirk's ability to command the ship and having that what was the trial called again? Not trial, but
competency
competency hearing. They had to do that, and they had to and then Commodore took over, and they had to deal with the Romulans. Like there was a bunch of stuff going on this episode, and I felt like it was very well done. Like I said before, I think the concept is really cool with like adrenaline radiation, even if there's nothing really to that in reality. It's just interesting how they came up with it. I wouldn't say it's like the funniest episode. It's definitely a more serious episode, which I think is why there's less "that's what they said's" in it. So I would give it a commander. It doesn't like stick out to me in my mind like some of the other episodes we've watched, but like it's a solid episode of Trek, I would say. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna go Commander too. I agree with everything you said. It does have some shortfalls. Like, I think the hearing itself was kind of drawn out. I don't know if it was 100. Like,
Yeah,
there was a part where I was
it
like,
was a little drawn out.
why don't, like, shouldn't Bones just relieve him of command? Like, shouldn't the three of them, Bones, Spock, and Spock did to an extent, but didn't say anything. Bones, Spock, and Kirk should all recognize that something's going on with them that is making them not suitable to be in charge anymore and relieve themselves of duty. Like, put Sulu in charge. We've seen Sulu run the starship before.
But that's not how old people operate,
I know.
Especially old dudes.
But,
as we know, they're very stubborn and they don't like to give up their freedoms.
Right, and that's
responsibilities.
That ties into a little bit to the next point I was going to make, which is the episode is accurate and uncomfortable at times with the loss of mental faculties, particularly of Kirk. Like, the where he snaps at the Yeoman, he's like, if I'd have signed it, I wouldn't ask for it. And then he realizes he signed it. I think they did.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of cringe moments with that stuff happening, and yeah, it's a little too real.
Yeah, I was gonna say not cringe in the way like, oh, why did they do that, but cringe in like, oh, that hits close to, especially if you're someone who's ever dealt with a family member that has suffered from like Alzheimer's and dementia and loss of their mental capacity. Yeah.
Which we both have.
Yes, we both
it's
have.
Not fun.
No.
No.
Yeah, Kirk's indignation at the fact that they had the hearing in the first place when he's like, this is stupid, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I'm usually able to kind of recognize that stuff in shows and movies where, you know, it really hits home for me, and I'm not really sure why I didn't put two and two together until just now. Why, like, I kind of had that same feeling throughout the episode as well. But I think that just might be because that was my entire childhood. Was dealing with these people. Like, literally my entire, up until I was 20. And my last grandparent passed away. So, yeah. Not fun, not easy. Yeah. Interesting point.
Also, props to particularly Shatner and DeForest Kelly for nailing the mannerisms of like agent folks. Like
how Kirk was holding his hands was like spot on.
The
spot
weird
on.
Like
the lip thing.
That elderly people do. Yeah. They nailed it. They got it down really good. So unanimous Commander for the Deadly Years. That will bring us to our next episode, which is Obsession from Calvin Klein. Is that who actually? That was actually a perfume or cologne, wasn't it? I don't know if it was actually from. Anyway, Captain Kirk obsessively hunts for a mysterious cloud creature he encountered in his youth. All right. Second cloud creature of this season.
Okay. The fourth or fifth overall now?
Yeah. Something like that. Metamorphosis. That's it. That was made me think. I was thinking during Metamorphosis, we talked about the one episode where they said telekinesis is telekinesis. And I didn't think when we were recording Metamorphosis to make the Metamorphosis joke. But this is like Metamorphosis.
That makes it sound like they have metamorph asses.
Metamorph asses, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds interesting. Sounds like something we've already watched before.
Sure does. All right.
Anyways, thanks everyone for joining us, whether you're watching live in the premiere or watching on the replay. We appreciate y'all being here. Make sure to smack that like, smack that subscribe, smack that bell icon once again. Helps us out a lot. If you want to leave a comment, feel free to do that. Yeah, I think that's it. Until next time, peace and long life.
Live long and prosper.
Bye.